Brain Food, random stimulation for the brain.
Welcome back to the final phase of our Captain America shield build. Let's get started. This primer has dried now for a few hours, so using some 600 to 800 grade wet and dry, it's just a case of flattening down any high spots from the can finish and creating a key for the next coat of paint. To make flattening down easier, consider adding a little bit of liquid soap to your water to help things along. When done, remove any of the solids and water with a clean dry rag. Now using some turpentine substitute or methylated spirit, clean the surface again. A piece of kitchen towel works well. Then flip the shield over and clean out any dirt that you may have inside the threads. Screw in the bolt offcuts we saved earlier before cleaning the rear of the shield. We can now add some silver paint to the shield. Any decent alloy wheel paint will do the job, but a lightish colour of silver shows up best when we add the red and the blue in a moment. I managed to get this large can of wheel silver for about £4 at a local auto store. Apply about 3 to 4 thin layers so that you end up with a nice thick layer at the end. Normally this means allowing 3 to 4 minutes of drying time between each layer, but instructions will be printed on the side of the can. And don't forget to paint those edges now and again, not just the top surface. And when that's done and hardened off completely for a few hours minimum, place a soft rag under the front face and repeat the process for the rear. After you've left that to cure for 12 to 24 hours to fully dry, you should already have something that's starting to look quite good. Now it's back out with the wet and dry, this time about 6 to 800 grade in soapy water as before. I'm deliberately using this slightly coarse grit paper because we want to see the scratches in the final build. It's these little scratches that make the paint look like metal later on. Be patient and keep circling the wet and dry in approximately 3 to 4 inch circles, working your way all over the front face of the shield. Don't go berserk, keep the strokes light. We're looking to flatten the paint, not go through to the primer. And in no time at all, you should have this fantastic metallic looking effect. Using a nice light touch from a pencil, mark out the 3 segments needed for the rings and centre circle. And if you need help with this, the dimensions are provided for free on my website via the links in the description bar, iCards and at the end of the video. Bring the compass out again and carefully and lightly mark out all 3 circles until they are just visible. Again, don't go crazy. Making the lines too dark may mean that you can see them at the end of the build and you don't want that. Now we're masking inside the lines of the second silver ring with some automotive detail tape. This 6mm tape is cheap for large rolls on eBay, but if you're on a budget and have some spare time, you can make some by cutting insulation tape down its length with a craft knife. With that done, repeat the process for the top inner blue circle, then make sure it's all pressed down without any lifts or creases. When you're happy with that, mask off your silver circle and the top blue circle with some standard decorator's masking tape and some scrap paper. Before any painting can take place, gently clean the exposed silver of any dirt or grease that it may have picked up from your hands whilst we did the masking. Finally, we get to apply some colour, and by far the best paint is this Duplicolour metal cast spray paint. Not only does this go on better than any other paint I've tested, but it has a slightly anodised see-through quality, so you will still be able to see the detail of the scratches in the silver underneath. The colour is also vibrant and realistic. Again, be patient and build up the layers exactly as indicated on the side of the can until you're happy with the colour. When that's done, you can peel off all of the masking tape, and who doesn't love that? Be patient and be careful. Don't dig any fingernails into the fresh red paint as you get started. You should now have very clean lines and the colour will really start to pop and contrast against the silver underneath. Depending on weather conditions, the red paint should be hard enough to mask again in 4 to 6 hours. And then we're going to mask everything but the centre circle, not forgetting to clean the surface before we paint as well. Then it's back in with the blue paint, again using the blue Duplicolour metal cast brand that we saw earlier. All the time being patient and building up your desired level of blueness one layer at a time, just as the can says. When you're happy with that and the paint has cured, gently peel off any masking tape that's hiding your shield gains. I never get tired of removing the masking tape at this stage. It's back in with the wet and dry one last time in our quest for the ultimate finish. Here I'm using 1200 grade, again with some soapy water in the same circular motion that we used before. After you've cleaned the shield one last time, apply a good quality clear lacquer. Build it up in nice thin coats, allowing each layer to dry for the appropriate time, just as stated on the instructions. You should now have an almost perfect shield. Almost because any slight stippling in the very top surface of the lacquer needs removing, and you can do that easily by cutting the top surface of the shield with a cutting compound like Meguiar's Ultra Cut or T-Cut. With that done, we can move on to the finishing details. Here I've marked a star template onto some thin 0.5mm aluminium sheet, and a scalable template is available for free on the website if you need it. With a craft knife, score the aluminium 2 or 3 times across the black lines to score free one section of the metal. A nice gentle wiggling motion will fracture one side free. Then just repeat the process for the other side and the remaining sides of the star. With that done, add decoration lines with a marker pen. Use the template as a guide and score each line in turn before sanding both the front and the rear of the star with some wet and dry. 600 to 800 grade should do it, and I like to sand each star point outwards to add a little bit of extra detail. The front edges and any burrs can then be removed with some gentle filing before treating the front face of the star to some clear lacquer. When dry, mix up some epoxy resin and spread it onto the rear, being careful not to get too close to the outside edge. We don't want it squishing out if we can help it. Now place it on the front of the shield and weigh it down with something that won't scratch your shield. Another alternative is to place your shield in the mould we made it in with some weight on the rear. That way, when you take it back out later, you should have a perfect result. The handle is dealt with by using a small offcut of 1-inch aluminium strap. A few simple bends, roughly the same size as the smallest fixing point on the rear of your shield, takes care of the all-important front grip. Now we can cut free the handle from the remaining aluminium strap, and any sharp corners can be cut off while you're at it. Likewise, any burrs are removed with a file, and I'll round things off for a nicer finish as well. There we go, something that looks half right, although it's a little thin, but we'll take care of that in a moment. Next, drill some holes in your handles that are just larger than the threaded bolts that we will use for fixing it. And here they are now. This is an M6 button head screw, just slightly longer than we require. As you've already guessed, we're going to tighten the handle down now, making sure that the screws are long enough to go into the T-nuts underneath, but not so long that they're going to bottom out into the fiberglass itself. And a drop of thread lock or nail varnish on the threads will stop this vibrating loose later on. With that done, offer an old bolt into place, already looped through itself so you can mark the holes in the correct location. Cut off the excess belt and save the offcut, then neaten up the end of the belt. Fix the belt into place as we did before, but this time with some washers for added strength. Now it's just a case of looping the belt closed into some freshly drilled or burnt holes that will accommodate your forearm. The offcut of belt doesn't go to waste though. Cut it down with a craft knife to leave a length like this, just slightly narrower than your front handle. Lastly, apply some more epoxy resin to the remaining belt and glue it into place. And if you look closely, you can see that I've already dressed it underneath of the handle in the same manner. To hold it all in place while it dries, rake the peg bag and keep adding them until there's no gaps or lifts left. And for the ultimate finish, apply some decent auto polish to really bring out that shine. And there you go, done. A superb, lightweight, strong, comfortable Captain America shield with nice details and very strong colours. Well, that brings this video to a close. To see some of my other projects, download free templates or get links to the materials used in this project, click the links here, the iCards or in the description bar. Don't forget to like or subscribe. Thanks for watching.